It was literally what popped in my
We're
head.
not thumbnailing at all. Okay.
But it was literally what popped in my head the
And
moment you
it's
said
sad
it.
because it totally makes sense. It just makes sense. Don't do it again. You want to do it again?
Warming up.
Yeah, we're gonna be sharing links as usual. The current thumbnail is quite funny though.
It seems generally. Oh, okay, it's a bit different than the YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube and Facebook will be different. Look at this. And I don't know how long that's gonna be the thumbnail. Kasi parang as the video.
And then there's a board game, so we're gonna change it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're warming up. We're starting in a bit.
Oh, what did I do? Oh.
What?
My lighting changed.
Your link is super long.
Yeah, I cleaned it up.
Okay.
But my lighting changed into another mode. I don't know what it takes you. Oh well. Yeah, I did some combination, and now it's like in vivid mode, and then I don't know what that means. It's just unusually bright, that's all.
Hey, Andre.
I think it removed my blue filter.
Yeah, unicorn's feet. Unicron. Sorry. Yes, unicorn's feet. Okay. Yeah, I think we're ready to start. Lighting's kind of weird. Because we're in gray shirts.
I guess.
Let's try.
Sorry, that. Just oops. Eight, and then. But also, what did I do? Oh, hey, hey, Nathan, Nathaniel.
Hey. Yeah, sorry I can't comment yet on the dolls. We're still doing an episode. But so far it looks great. Can't wait till we have more. We'll have to figure that out later.
Yeah, I'm so annoyed. Okay, we look. And then so now I don't know if we look too bright.
It's just we're like weirdly sunburnt.
Maybe reduce the intensity of the light slightly.
Because note, I'm already in dark mode. See, there. So, that was wrong.
Dramatic.
See, if it's this strong, my lens has captured the screen.
Yeah.
So I have to bring it low.
Okay.
Low. Low.
Is it this?
Oh my gosh! You know, we should just get started.
Okay. I won't fix it.
Thank you, Andre. We're like fiddling with the lighting because it looks weird.
And it's also because my computer lighting changed. And normally I have like a blue filter on and stuff. Because, you know, my eyes aren't going to get any better. Okay, I'm not ready. My screen seems so bright.
Hey, Urim, long time no see.
Oh, hey. Okay. Yeah. So
We'll be right back after this intro.
Oh yeah! Baduy Pride!
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. It's another Monday, which means it's a board game night. And for today's show, we are talking about
Something from the 70s. No. Wavelength. And it's such a trippy, like, no, I can align myself like that.
But yes, we are talking about the board game Wavelength. The board game Wavelength came out 2019 with three designers listed: Justin Vickers, Alex Hague, and Wolfgang Warsch.
Or Hugger. I don't know.
The game challenges you to read your teammate's mind in this pinpoint party game of infinite possibilities.
Yeah, so it's ironic to talk about party games during quarantine because it's obviously something we can't play. But and Toby got this during quarantine, pretty much. So it supports 2 to 12 players, but it's because it follows team play, right? It's
What? It didn't show.
no,
It was cropped
no
out
more,
screen.
no more of that. Okay, so but yeah, it supports 2 to 12 players, but it's because you play in teams.
Yes.
And you are competing to get the most guesses right. But I feel like to best explain Wavelength, we should show you the setup because it's quite brilliant actually the way that they utilize the components for the game. Yeah,
let's
so how do we
open the
do that?
box.
Okay. So
we could then put this here in the background.
So the main feature of Wavelength is this very strange dial that has like a shield, oops, and then there's a color wheel inside. Well, there are colored sections on this wheel, and a red dial thing. Okay.
So in Wavelength, in this social game, two teams compete to try to read their teammates' mind the best they can. The wheel represents certain degrees regarding a certain topic, and the topic is generated with the use of cards. Let's get these out of the way. You have a host of cards that come with the set, a host of cards, and they are basically filled with two possibilities on each side. So, for example, we might have deep thoughts and shallow thoughts, or we might have thrilling or terrifying, or we might have most evil company and least evil company. Having these categories, the person who's in charge of the wheel at that time chooses a card that they'll use. For example, we might choose action movie or adventure movie. The category is placed here.
Which is only visible to the person who's like gonna do the. Well, initially it's going to do the acting-ish thing, okay? But he's basically it's sort of like Pictionary or charades, where you have someone who's going to be the one who's going to give the clue, and then the rest of his team will have to try to figure it out. The fun mechanic is that our it person will first need to.
So the wheel is randomly set at a certain area. So this is done without anyone seeing it.
Yeah.
Once that is done, the wheel is covered, and this side is facing the rest of the team. Based on the category, and with the player, in my case, me, knowing where the degrees are, I would then give a clue that tries to capture where I believe that rating was. So, for example, if it were here, then the blue area would be at the extreme, meaning it would be
Super
the
action
most
movie.
action movie of action movies ever.
Yes.
So if I wanted you to guess, to put the meter there, then I now have to come up with a clue that will make you think, oh, Toby would consider that a super action movie. So I might say, for example, Little Women. No.
Then I'd be over here on the non-action movie side.
No, so I might say, for example, action movie. Well, action Die Hard.
Okay, that's not bad.
Mhm.
That's not bad.
Now, hearing that clue, Rocky would then try to figure out how much of an action movie compared to an adventure movie
So you can't quite see its reflection.
that clue would be.
Yeah. So you have no reference for the theme. It's just this light green thing, and then you'll set the dial and say, okay, that's our guess. That's our guess.
And that's when it's revealed to see how close you made
Oh, we just missed it. We're not in the colored bars. So the colored bars have numbers on them that designate what points you get, starting from 2, and then the highest is 4, right in the middle. And naturally, your goal in terms of teams is to get as close to the middle as possible.
There's a small triangular peg that basically helps you keep track of whose turn it is. And then you have 2 head pegs, which basically keep track of your score.
Yeah, so this is a score trap, and it goes from 1 to 10, or actually 1 to star, and it's hard to see, but it's embossed on the sides. So it's pretty cool. Ah! So it's a lot of like moving forward, and then there's the arrow. Okay.
So the game is that simple. The tools are that easy to use. This system itself, this wheel that can be spun, is quite interesting. There's the rare chance that when you spin it, it will have something like this.
Point forward.
And
where you have colors on both sides.
So you're just basically asked to either spin it again and stuff. But whatever happens, you are still expected to have this open at the fullest, and then you close it at the fullest. Because if you like do it just this way, then everyone can sort of feel that that's only the space that you're looking at. But it's nice. There's a nice, what's the word?
The components feel oddly sophisticated or like not cheap, despite the fact that they're very simple. I mean, it's literally just this sliding cover and then this not complex, but just heavy, hard plastic, wheel thing. And it fits into the base, and then you also use the base as scoring, and you have your cards here. So it's a very functional setup, and I like it. So you literally play out of the box, and you'll probably be passing this box or sliding it around the table so that the other teams can, when it's their turn, they play through.
So the official rules do state, psychic team discusses and then turns the dial. The other team guesses left or right.
Yeah, so there is a chance to sort of steal that if you think that the line should actually be more to the left or more to the right, then you can name that guess and you can steal points.
So if, let's say, Rocky voted here, let's move.
We don't know where the wheel is.
Yeah, and then let's say Rocky voted here, and then the opponent team might vote, okay, we think it's still more right than Rocky's vote.
More left, you mean, for the.
And then we reveal, and team steals it because they were right.
Yep. But that only applies if it's left of the blue. If it's not on the blue. So it's basically trying to find the center line for you. Okay.
So yeah, it's a fun system, hefty wheel, nice quality. As you can see, there's
it's
the embossed
shiny.
lettering.
It has little stars things.
It's literally screwed on and stuff, so it's big quality. You drop it, you break it.
I mean, like, to be fair, they could have just gone with like a giant cardboard wheel insert, right? So kudos to them for deciding to go with this route of this heavier component. You store it actually the other way around. So that you don't have this nubbin sticking out on top. Nubbin. Right? So it stores quite nicely. So on the surface, it looks crazily simple. In practice, trying to figure out that calibration is kind of nuts because you'll really have things like unreasonable phobia and reasonable phobia. And like, how do you figure that out?
Or you have dirty and clean.
Or very basic, good for you and bad for you.
Requires luck or requires skill. You have, of course, bad man and good man.
And then all the cards are double sided, so there are many many options. And there are advanced cards versus shallow, because shallow is like mean person versus nice person, whereas an advanced is deep thought, shallow thought. Okay, so and there's nothing. Were there guidelines on the clue? Sorry, I can't remember on the clue giving.
So the clues have convey a single thought, don't invent something, be on topic, no synonyms, and no numbers.
Yeah. So you have to be quite general sort of about it when you give your clue. You can't be too specific. Hence the elimination of numbers and fractions and whatnot. You know, you're not gonna clue them towards 50%, 20%. That's unfair. And it's also because you're trying to give a clue that the other team still has a chance to like understand it.
So, for example, if the category was dangerous and safe, and the clue you gave was texting while driving, then it still feels like two things. But then if you gave the clue texting while driving a Honda Accord, suddenly now people are even wondering, is the Honda Accord safe? So it then complicates the clue further.
Yeah, so you don't want to make it too narrow in the way you define the clues. Andre's like, any interesting categories you wish you were included? I can't really say. We've only played this in practice once because of the fact that it's a party game that we own in quarantine. So yeah, too early to tell. Mitch was asking if it's good for beginners. It's definitely a party game that is pretty, it's pretty open. I think it works for a lot of different groups. It really just becomes a question of the types of clues you provide and how specific. I mean, I hope people, it's not in good faith to do a lot of like, what's this? To do a lot of in jokes. That you want to keep it more open and more something that people can understand, and all these things. Okay. Sorry, what are you?
No, I was just trying to see, because they talk about inserting the device firmly in the slot.
But yeah, but that's
and
it.
not leaning back. So, I guess it's supposed to be leaning like that.
Okay. Mitch, dapat pala same wavelength ng thinking. That is literally the goal of the game. Is that you're really trying to figure out like how calibrated you
Oh,
are.
look, there's a mini rack.
It's the screen. Okay. Toby.
The game has an app that's still in beta, so it's not yet available. If you're wondering what other games they've created, one of the designers was also behind the very successful game The Mind. So the themes of telepathic communication is there.
And the simplicity of like, I mean, I feel like, which was a good decision, is that they really upped sort of the quality of the components, because deceptively, it feels like it looks like a very simple game, because really it's just this guessing game. It's not too different from like monikers or something, but the whole point is this scale of left and right of one more than the other, and figuring out that calibration. So that's a nice angle to it. In terms of mechanics, interestingly, people are putting like mechanics include betting and bluffing, race, targeted clues, and it's a team-based game. But that's about it.
So the game goes for around $35. So that's barely 2,000 pesos.
It shouldn't be 2,000
So for
pesos.
a simple party game that has high quality and high production materials, it's still within a good price range. Nice sheen, pretty, and quite collectible. What else?
And then there's that wonder of like, I mean, naturally, your next angle, if ever, is like, you can probably just add more, create your own card categories to keep pushing the game. And that's like something we've seen across different party games. For example, like there's playing Mysterium, and then some say you can use the cards from Dixit to play Mysterium. Or there was that funny at a board game convention where they played code names, but instead of words, they used other board games.
Mm-hmm.
So because literally they had boxes of board games
Ooh.
lined on the
Some
floor.
are evil though, like job and career.
Oh, it's so painful.
There's normal and weird. Ugh. Ordinary and extraordinary. Oh, mainstream and tricky questions.
So and then your replay value is pretty high because I'm sure that the references and clues will change depending on who your team is, the composition of people at the party or whatever. So it's a lot of options. Mitch says on sturdy na items, di yung laro madaling maluma yung game. Totally, the most vulnerable components are the cards. I mean, and they're still good. They're laminated cards, matte finish, pretty nice. Probably that, and then the little team scoring things because you are sticking a cardboard component into a plastic hole repeatedly. But that's you shouldn't be pressing it in. Just drop it in and just let it rest.
Now the manual offers a number of
Play modes, right?
samples, clue conditions, samples, and it even offers a cooperative mode where everyone wins or loses together, and you try to score the highest points. But yeah, in the end, that is Wavelength, and I realized my timer never started.
Yeah, we're only about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
in.
but it's just funny. I realized my timer never started.
Your iPad timer.
Um,
So normally we try to talk about strategy. Is there a strategy for Wavelength?
I think it's a game where you'll just have to accept that sometimes you just think differently,
Mm-mm.
even if you know each other. For example, if we try now real quick, useless body part and useful body part as a category.
And technically, you spin with the shield, and then you open, and then you set, and then you close it again, so that you don't control the spin. It's that mechanic.
Okay, so putting this there, we have useless body part, useful body part,
Okay.
and Rocky will have to guess. And my clue is
Waiting for this to come back. Hi.
let us know when we're back.
Hello.
Are we back? 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 Are we back?
Hello. Okay. So Toby's clue is toes, which is
So there.
terrible.
Useful body part.
Useful.
No. Useless is that side.
Oh, this is useless.
Yeah, this part is useful.
Okay.
So useful body part and useless body part. That's your decision.
I don't know.
Viewers,
We have a difference of opinion on the usefulness of toes.
well, are you thinking as me or thinking as you?
I don't know. I don't know if you're trying to make me think as you, or are you thinking as me and projecting?
Viewers, do you think the vote is more to the left or more to the right of Rocky?
So more useless, more useful.
More useful or more useless? Someone vote. 15-second delay.
Yeah, it takes a while before we see.
Useful. Mitch is voting useful. So I'm putting this here. But let's see who else will vote. Normally just one, but we have multiple. Urim says Rocky. I guess Rocky's side. So he's voting your side. We have a vote from Mitch. Anyone else voting?
I think that's like the extent of who's
Okay,
active
that's
on
it.
the stream right
All
now.
right, so Mitch votes more useful. Urim votes more useless. And the answer is...
I hate you.
More useful, of
I
course.
refuse to agree on this point.
Those are super useful. They keep your balance. They keep your shoes fit. They keep your socks from flying off. They allow you to pick things up.
See, that's the thing that Toby wants to bring up. That it allows him to pick things up.
You need those to balance. See, Mitch also says that. See,
I am trying to establish an important fact.
And without toes, you can't have wine.
Okay,
So that's how a game of Wavelength plays.
we'll spin one more though.
Okay, we'll do one more. This time you get to, yes.
Oh, we did this already.
So Rocky gets to.
Okay. Our clue is nobody does it and everybody does it, which is going to be tricky.
Mhm. Nobody,
Sorry.
everybody. Go, Andre. Okay lang, join us here.
It's sorry, nag-lock. Okay.
I might see it.
Okay, so it's
Nobody on your right.
nobody, nobody, everybody. Oh, this is hard.
See? Nobody does it, everybody does it. So we're supposed to figure out a spectrum within that Rocky will think falls under the color he sees. Okay, so he's placing it, and you have to be careful when you touch it because you might
I
affect.
think I hit the wheel. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's close enough. Crap.
Yeah.
Um,
So nobody does it is the right side. Everybody does it is the left side. And Rocky's clue to try to have us guess is
enjoy pimple popper videos.
that is my guess.
Okay.
For everyone else,
What do you think? Dude, this
More
really
nobody.
more nobody.
more everybody?
Yerm says middle, so that's more everybody.
Yeah, so that's this side.
Mitch also says middle.
Okay. So note that this is normally for score, but we're keeping it for your votes.
Andre, you have a vote?
Everybody as well. So everyone thinks it's more to the left of my vote.
Hmm.
And the answer is
It's right in the middle.
it's still more to the left. So you all steal the points from me.
So yeah, that's Wavelength. See, we're calibrated. So it's quite clever. It's quite clever, right? And then yeah, so you have very very simple to very weird clues.
Mhm.
And then it's a lot of that, and then you go back and forth until you get to the end, and that's Wavelength. So yeah, so I guess in terms of strategy, then it's really just more try to use references that will make sense for the party you're with.
Keep the thought simple so that they can easily identify why you chose that. Because it's possible, for example, if I overthought it, nobody does it, everybody does it, enjoy pimple popper videos, and I might be thinking, yeah, but you know how much percentage of the world goes online? And
Yeah.
that's like overthinking it, see? So sometimes you have to be careful on what you choose. Not good for remote play, sadly, because of this factor. The fact that the active player has to spin secretly.
Yeah, and then like
peek,
yeah, so like at most like we could theoretically
post it.
host it, and then but Toby and I will always have to be on opposing teams, and we're
Yeah.
always the ones giving clues.
So
So that can be a little tiring. It's not as fun as a full game.
the online app might offer solutions, but we never signed up for the beta, so we don't know how that plays
Well,
out.
we weren't aware there was an online app beta, so we'll see how that goes. And then what else about this? And I guess so and it's what's this when you so when we think about different party games that we have played, which have each their own strategies, like code names. You're trying to convey a thought, but then not let the other team guess it. Dixit, you're trying to make at least one person guess your clue, but not everybody.
Or
So-
Decrypto, where you're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to narrow down the clues to help your team understand it, but not too clear that the opposing team can steal it.
So there is it definitely plays along those lines. In Wavelength, it is to your benefit to be super clear and to make don't hold back so much. To make sure that number one, you have to communicate with your teammate, because if you can figure out how to convey that calibration message, then you'll knock it out of the park. Because a lot of times I've been in Dixit games and and even Decrypto where the clues start becoming very niche and very like you're trying to exclude some people, some of the players, in order to get through it.
Yes, that was
And-
Decrypto.
Yeah, Andre. Yeah, so this is definitely not one of those games. You want to keep it open, simple, and then you must calibrate. I don't know if you wanna hold hands before you play the game, or as you're gonna start a new round, calibrate.
The game has a nice, approachable level. Since the clues are generally general, you can actually play this with kids, with your parents, but then realize that then swings the wavelength so far. Because keep in mind, something like what's considered mainstream for you might be niche for your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that can still affect the voting. But in
Which
many
could
ways,
make it more fun when
that's
you go
part of the
cross generational. Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, with very young kids, then the definition of good and bad becomes a lot simpler. You might be able to name some cartoons, but then older players may not know those cartoons, and so how are you going to balance that out? So yeah, so that is
Wavelength.
Wavelength. It's a there's not much to explain further in terms of the rules,
hard,
but it
it's
is a
hard
lot
to
of
find.
fun.
It's hard to find. I lucked out on the
Oh.
secondary market.
This is a secondhand copy. Yes.
But if you are able to find a copy, I think it's still worth getting. Even if you don't play it that often, it's one of those games that you can end up pulling it out to play with close members of the family or friends, even for a birthday or something.
Mm-mm.
It's one of those games that can work even if you weren't planning to do a game night.
And I think it definitely. I mean, we already said yes, could be beginners, but yeah, so even non gamers can get into it.
Because
And then,
the
Yeah.
visual impact makes it feel more like, oh, we're doing a game show.
yes,
Compared to like if you pull out a deck of cards
Wavelength.
and you'll have people going, ay, hindi ako nagbo-board games when they see the cards.
Yes.
So that's a plus for this game.
Yeah, so the minimalism in terms of components actually is a really good factor in like keeping the game a lot more approachable and open. So good job to the team of Wavelength for coming up with this game. It's just that you came out right before the pandemic, so I don't know if that was bad timing.
Well, we got the game right before.
No, 2019. It was released in 2019, so it's technically the year before the pandemic.
True.
So I can imagine a lot of people like timing, but no regrets. How does this rank with our different party games? If you were to try to rank some of them, because like there's code names, there's what's this?
Spyfall.
Spyfall. I'm not even gonna start with the oink ones like
Then the
Fate
Werewolf.
Artist.
We have Dracula's Feast.
Mm.
So this one, I think I'd place it under the most mainstream. No, not mainstream. The most
Approachable. I guess.
Approachable.
Yeah.
because you could be playing with kids and they'll just point.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? Okay, we have everyone does it and nobody does it, and then you might reference something like catch Pokemon, and then they'll vote, and it still works because
Yeah.
it's now a question of that perspective. But it doesn't fall under my favorites only because it's that approachable. The fact that it feels so
The system is
So
so light.
open.
Yeah.
I feel less engaged compared to, let's say, Dracula's Feast, where oh my god, I'm playing this role, and
Okay.
what are you guys playing? So
Yeah.
so I guess in many ways, it's like the Jackbox of party games.
Which is funny because Jack
Whereas-
is all about party games.
Yeah, whereas Dracula's Feast and the like is the murder house of Jackbox games.
The
We're in-
trivia murder.
Yeah,
party.
wherein there's that feeling of
Because there's still more of a system.
Yes.
And more game to it.
that's my view.
Okay.
You?
That makes sense. Yeah, because it's definitely one of the simpler ones to explain. Because like I know I played Spyfall like with The Office, and then like okay, I love this game, but it's a lot to explain,
Mhm.
and then it takes a while for people to really get it. It might be closer in range to things like Red Flags, which we still super love.
That's true.
But less reading for this one.
Yes.
And I think the potential for hilarity is high with this because it really depends on like the group that you're with, and the better you know each other, then I think that the funnier that some of the responses are gonna be.
This game, however, will be extremely annoying if you're playing with people who are just playing to win. Because all they'll do all night is argue why you're wrong.
There is that. We
What?
know those people.
Hot,
Yeah.
cold, you chose coffee, and there's lava. Why is coffee hot? And rather than laugh about it, becomes, oh my god, okay, fine. I'll say plasma next time as my clue.
But then did you mean blood? Or not, ionized things. So yeah. But I think that's in general for any party game, and like just choose the people you play with so that you still have fun.
That's just my nose.
I'm supposed to have a wavelength with this person here beside me, but I don't know.
There, see, it's a perfect fit.
And that's tonight's episode about wavelength.
Any last words?
Toby and I aren't the greatest at this game for some reason. As much as we've talked about, like we have a lot of wavelength in real life, but the way we look at things and like the way we
Our wavelength does not work with logic.
yes,
Our wavelength is so illogical that we finish each other's sentences for the most unexpected topics.
yeah. But then like when we're trying to do it on demand,
Then it flubbers. So
we just have very different opinions, or just sometimes. But like, admittedly, like earlier, like I refuse to acknowledge Toby's answer. I know I had a feeling where his answer was. I refuse. I refuse to give him that satisfaction that his toes are useful, or that useful.
but they are.
Don't try to grab my foot.
I could grab your ear.
It's so weird. Okay. Yeah, that's my last thing. Anything else, Toby?
I guess that's it for tonight's episode. We have a lot of episodes for you this week. It is still part of our Pride celebration, so we have
We're trying to go for color.
yeah. This is part of the reason we chose it. It's also very, I don't know.
Psychedelic. It feels very 70s, I
And
swear.
it's also very, very Sarah Geronimo.
Wow.
About the colors of the
Okay.
costume in
Okay.
Pala.
Okay.
Anyway.
I will just accept. See, this is like
That's my wavelength.
not a wavelength moment for us.
But yes, we have a lot of episodes this week. And the special episode this week is all about finding your sexuality.
Yeah, discovering, embracing your sexuality. So we're doing longer. We did do longer episodes on Fridays. So every Friday for Pride Month, it's going to be sort of more LGBT related stuff. So
Mhm.
last Friday we did Soji, which I really enjoyed that discussion, and that went on for like a Titanic length. So it was pretty long.
So is Titanic long? What about Snowpiercer?
It depends. We're talking about the length of the movie or the vehicle.
Oh, movie! I was thinking the vehicle. See, our wavelengths are not working.
We're not. Okay. Yeah. So that's like our week for Baduy Pride.
But that's our episode for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
For questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. You can also follow us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know, what you think about the game. Would you want to play it? And do you have a category suggestion scale that you want to try out? Let us know. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy
Pride.
Should we like better pose with the game for thumbnail purposes?
Well, depends. What sort of post do you want?
I don't know. But so that you're not complaining that we're all just blurry and
That's
shots.
okay. It's natural, so we can't help it. So, yeah. And then we'll have the... Because it's still going to get covered by captions and stuff.